What's up, everyone? This is Paris Taylor, your host of the Cocktail Hour, the show where we spotlight the most talented bartenders shaking up the cocktail scene. Today, we're in the heart of Midtown Manhattan, right next to the Museum of Modern Art at the luxury 5-star Baccarat Hotel. We'll be interviewing Saiff, who's the beverage director here running their bar program. It's Cocktail Hour. Let's go meet Saiff and check out what he's making behind the bar. Saiff, thank you so much for having us today, man.
Thank you.
Of course. Would you mind just sharing with the audience, your name, where you're from, and where we're at today?
Of course. My name is Saiff. I'm the wine director here at the Baccarat Hotel, and I'm originally from Michigan, born in Michigan, raised in North Carolina, but I come from a Palestinian background. So yeah.
So let's start at the top, man. We'd love to just understand the journey a bit more. How'd you end up in hospitality and I guess, bartending and managing programs in general?
Yeah. So I was working originally. My start in hospitality would be a Dairy Queen.
Okay. DQ,
next to my high school when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
I worked there. I honestly just wanted a job, so I ended up taking that. I worked in my first formal restaurant when I was 17. I was an expediter. I loved cooking. I wanted to be a chef. My parents wanted me to stay very far from hospitality just because the life, they wanted me 9 to 5, which was honestly, looking back, I understand why. But a few years later after that, I ended up taking my first job in a 5-star restaurant where I was an expediter and back server. That's where I started really learning about wine. Kind of propelled my career and got me to decide that the hospitality is a feasible career. And so that's where I really decided that I was going to stay in hospitality, hopefully work in wine one day. And then shortly after that, I took my first job as a sommelier at 21, actually.
Okay. Impressive, man.
Yeah, so
how was that process? Well, I mean, there's a couple of questions there, but let's talk about you training to become a sommelier. How was that process like?
So it was a lot of reading. So I was 19, 20 years old when I first started learning about wine. I had exposure to a lot of really bad wine. But as I started becoming a server, I wanted to understand wine a little bit more and understand why someone's ordering oaky buttery Chardonnay and what makes it oaky buttery. And so tasting it, I hated it, but reading about it, I found it fascinating. And so it wasn't until I got into just the higher side of wine that I really started to enjoy it. So
how long did the process to become a sommelier? How long did that process typically take?
Typically, it should have taken a little longer. I put myself a little
Wonder
over.
Kid. I love it.
No. I got in a little over my head. And I kind of just I got to a point where I thought I was ready. I got the job, and then I told myself it's sink or swim. So kind of put my head down, kept studying. My boss was she was supportive. She knew exactly what I didn't know, and so she played into that as well. Pushed me along, and really brought me up. And so I was fortunate enough to have a good support group. In the wine world, but I definitely I say I took my first job at 21, but I was nowhere near as ready as I thought I was. So I was just fortunate enough to not have them give up on me and more just mentor me and grow me in the position.
Well, it's a good thing. I mean, you started early. Right. Like that's the blessing there. And so I mean, I've got to ask again, going back to the sommelier concept. Like, you guys are experts in wine. It's everything from the region, temperature that the grapes were grown in. Like, how much are you expected to know about whatever glass of wine is being served in front of a customer in front of you?
As much as the guest wants to know. I mean, you have to know as much as possible. You should honor the person that's putting in their literal life's work to get to it. Like, when you think about winemaking, like they don't have the chance to do it every day. They have the chance sometimes, if they're lucky, to do it 50 times in their lifetime. Because you can only really do it once a year. And if it's if it falls apart, then you lose it. So you really have to honor the commitment, the risk that this person's taking to get the wine to the glass, just for you to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, man, that's so cool, man. And so how did you, I mean, you do that, how'd you end up, here at the Baccarat Hotel?
So after I put my head down, started studying, I actually felt like I was going to be just less, or I took the opportunity to move to New York just because there's more opportunity here. I think North Carolina is growing in terms of hospitality, but
Interesting.
it's not. It's still developing.
Yeah.
I think there are incredible chefs and hospitality professionals there, especially after the pandemic. A lot of New York has moved to North Carolina.
That's right.
But I think the core that is there, I mean, you have still excitement from James Beard and Forbes. And so there is a lot of greatness in North Carolina, and it's only getting better. But in the meantime, I wanted to come up to New York, study. And I had the opportunity to move to 11 Madison Park, where I really got my teeth kicked in. Got to be exposed to a lot of both wine and spirits, and a lot of great development there. And then when it came time to move on, I mean, this was the obvious choice. I was thinking, what can excite me the same way. It's a different challenge. It's different, obviously, from 11 Madison Park, but it is exciting.
Yeah. Well, how was the training program here?
So
Baccarat?
it's a little different. It's more, I have to develop it. I'm, as a wine director, responsible for developing the wine program. Something we're known for is champagne, and so that's definitely something I lean into quite a bit. It is probably my favorite region for wine, and that's why I was very happy to be here. It's where I lean in.
Yeah. And just out of curiosity, I mean, what is, as the beverage director here, with the background in wine, what does that day-to-day look like for you?
A lot of it is trying to make it all work. I think the bar side of the world is fascinating, and honestly, it's a new challenge for me, and so I've leaned to it quite a bit. I think our wine program is exceptional, especially when it comes to champagne. At one point before the pandemic, we had one of the best champagne lists in the city, one of the most extensive. So that's my major task of regrowing it.
Getting that back.
Exactly. I want that. I want that for myself. It's not just about having the most champagne. It's about the variety, and it's about making sure that we have something for everyone. In terms of champagne. So
absolutely, man. Well, before we dive more into the bar and sort of the experience one would have here, man. So we have a segment called Cocktail Hour. Where we'll have you pick a glass here, pick a cocktail for me to try and just walk through the story, man, and how it got onto the menu. So
let's start with a martini.
Okay.
Here. So Grey Goose Alceus is the base for this martini. It was kind of born just out of me tasting a Roquefort liqueur, which is also heavily incorporated into it. It started evolving from there, playing around with a little sake and chili vodka as well. And so kind of this on the chili vodka, since the Grey Goose itself is a little bit richer, as well as the sake being barrel aged, the Roquefort liqueur having that kind of richness as well. The chili vodka, we actually started doing a fat wash on it, bringing that together with za'atar as well. And so just kind of this bright, savory cocktail.
I love it, man. And I see there's a little bit of caviar and cucumber here. Is it supposed to be the pairing here?
Exactly. So a little fresh and savory bite to
all right, so give me the step-by-step here, man. Do I take a drink first or dive into the caviar first?
Taste the cocktail and then follow it with the cucumber and caviar.
That's really good right there. Okay, let's give this a try, my man. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. Wow. Okay. So talk to me about, the experience, someone who's never been to the Baccarat Hotel bar in particular, what sort of experience should they expect?
We can go from it being just like a party, or just like the very classy and elegant expectation that you will have. We do jazz on Wednesday nights, so that definitely brings a different kind of crowd, but then sometimes it is just this very lively bar.
I mean, we are in Midtown.
Exactly. And so, I mean, especially depending on the cocktails people are going for that night, if it's a martini night, then you can can see the bar.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of it is Baccarat Rouge flowing and going throughout the space. So.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
So Baccarat is sort of synonymous with luxury, man. I think the glassware in particular, the chandeliers here, you know, how does all that play a role into the ambiance, you know, of the bar here?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we want to make sure we're honoring. We want to make sure that the ingredients going in the glasses is worthy.
Yeah.
So we are using some of the best things available on the market, which also from my side, on the creative side, it makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't have to tamper with things as much. I don't have to change things. It makes the cocktail creation just a lot more straightforward.
Okay.
And so you can honor the ingredients, you can honor the glassware, without having to pull your hair out too much on infusions and changing the cocktails too much.
Okay. And you know, you mentioned cocktail creations, and I've got to unpack that a bit more, you know, for folks at home and for myself. But you know, how does that process look like for you, right? How do new ideas make it onto the menu? Or, you know, if you can give us an example or a story maybe, you know, with one of the cocktails you recently put on the menu.
I mean, this cocktail here, we wanted to use mostly French-inspired ingredients. Everything has some sort of connection to France, whether it's the Grey Goose that's coming from France, the Roquefort liqueur also coming from France. The sake in it, we're using Iwa sake, so the former chef de cave for Dom Perignon, moved over to Japan, wanted to make sake with a kind of a French connection there. And then the Arbiki, it's a Scottish vodka, but it just made sense, and so I wanted to make it work in the cocktail, and so it did. I didn't want to be too hung up on it having to be all French. And so that was the inspiration there, but that was the workaround for it. The inspiration kind of comes from a little bit of a theme and seasonality. And so we did this last cocktail menu based on New York City. And it took a few different angles. So this was Lafayette Street, so that kind of like French part of Manhattan, really leaning into it. I wanted to play around a little bit more, either into the vibe of the neighborhood or just or something that makes it reminiscent of that neighborhood. So the martini, the mostly French ingredient martini, just reminded me of that. Playing into the Lower East Side with this cocktail here, leaning into kind of this just smoky, bright, very punchy cocktail as well. It's a lot of fun. It honestly makes the job easier if you set the theme. And then to kind of work into the ingredients, flavors are my forte. Like I understand flavors very well as a sommelier, so kind of listed out what makes sense for the fall and what makes sense for the hotel in terms of flavor profile. And I really wanted to lean into that when it came to the cocktail creation. So I put out a list of ingredients based on seasonality. Kind of wanted to lean into that quite a bit.
And when you say seasonality, because you know, based on what you just described, it sounds like it needs to have some type of French influence, or you know, some type of relationship with the French in any way, shape, or form. Like, I guess what else drives sort of some of these changes, or some of the new ideas that you try to bring to the table?
I mean,
no pun intended.
It definitely, honestly, I'm fortunate enough to have marketing team giving me their ideas. It makes it a lot easier to bounce off of, and so when we did this menu especially, it was definitely a launching off point. I think that kind of I almost made it into a pull an idea out of a hat and try to run with it a little bit, especially just because, I mean, there were some things that I really got hung up on. I wanted this cocktail to play a little into Chinatown as well, and I was insisting on Baiju being a part of it. And I just couldn't make it work, and I almost failed just because I really wanted to make it work. And then as soon as we took it out, the cocktail kind of came together better. And so it was a little bit of me versus me, whether it was like idea or even my own palate's bias. I definitely like something a little bit more spirit forward. And that's where I have to bring people in to kind of course correct me a little bit.
Got it, man. And I mean, for folks at home who may not know this, are there, subtle details, within the bar, whether it's the artwork or what have you, that are intentionally placed or, placed to sort of help promote the ambiance and the vibe here at the Baccarat Hotel bar?
Going back to kind of the vibe and what you can expect. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is the lights. We literally have mood lighting, and so sometimes the paintings around the room, they will attract the light, and we have spotlights that play into them. So it could be red, green, blue, purple, however you, whatever the feel and the vibe we are setting for that evening, will kind of take over, reflect off the paintings and play into it quite a bit. And that definitely influences the mood of the bar a little bit.
I love that, man. I love that.
And I think some of the other subtle details that we do a very good job of is all of our banquettes are lined with subwoofers.
Okay.
And so you almost have like this kind of what could be a club level of like the production.
Okay.
Like the speakers here are more
Top
than
notch.
Yeah.
All high quality.
Really,
I love
exactly.
it, man. As it should be. It's only right. Yeah.
And I was surprised. I was like, these are like concert level speakers.
Yeah.
But I think especially the subtle detail of the subwoofers in the seats like really immerses you into the vibe that's being set in the room.
It's great, man. It's great. All right, so before we talk a bit more about, you and your passions, man, it's cocktail hour again. So we'd love for you to pick another cocktail here for me to try, man, and walk through the story.
Let's go to the Baccarat Rouge.
Okay, let's do it, man. Okay, what we got going on here? Okay.
So the Baccarat Rouge, the idea behind this cocktail, red is the signature color of Baccarat.
Yeah.
This was actually something created by my predecessor in, I believe, 2018.
Okay.
And the idea is we're pouring liquid gold on what the finished product is.
Yeah.
Baccarat Red is the product of mixing 24 karat gold into the raw materials for crystal.
Okay.
They heat it to about 540 degrees Celsius, and that kind of chemical reaction turns it red.
Okay.
So it is naturally occurring red, which I think is really cool. Here we're playing around with a little bit of hibiscus, which is in the ice cube.
Now, do I dump this in there or just keep it on the...
You can drop it in, use the pick to stir it around just to
There we go.
incorporate more of the ice cube, see that color change.
Yeah, okay.
But really with it's a Blanco tequila base. Oh yeah.
This is really good, dude.
It's addicting.
Yeah, this is really, really good.
A little bit of hibiscus. You also have cardamaro and allspice liqueur.
Okay.
So really just kind of adds a little bit more of that kind of richness to the cocktail.
Got it, man. This is really, this is fantastic. This is fantastic, man.
So,
all right, so we've learned, a little bit about your journey to hospitality and how you got here at the Baccarat. We learned a little bit more about the bar. Outside of the night job, we'll call it, running the program here. What are some of the hobbies and things you like to do outside of work, man?
Outside of work, a lot of it is studying. Okay. You can never stop. Both just to be able to stay relevant, keep up with what's going on in the world around you, but also just every year there's a new evolution to the world of wine, to the world of spirits. And so that's the big thing I try to focus on. It's easier said than done for sure, but and I'm big into fishing. Okay. And so me and my buddies are already planning on chartering a couple boats over the summertime. I could sit out there for hours, not catch a single thing. It doesn't matter. I'm there to fish. I'm not there to catch.
Yeah. Where are you fishing, man? Or what are some of the spots you'd like to go to for fishing?
North Carolina.
Honestly, Carolinas.
Take me back home. Take me to go do a trip with the family. Go visit my mom. My mom. Actually, we were talking about the next time I visit. She was like, just in case we have to go to the beach. I was like, Mom, there's no reason we have to go to the beach. But I like where your head's at. I love the idea of going. And so it was definitely something we did a lot as a family growing up. And it's something that I love to continue to do.
Okay, that's good, man. I love it, man. What are some of the challenges that you faced, as you walk through your journey within hospitality and within bartending generally?
One thing personally was my family. I come from a Muslim background, and so definitely not something we talk about at home.
Yeah.
My mother is constantly saying like, oh, so the next job you're gonna have that moves you away from alcohol, right? And it's definitely something that's a little bit tougher to navigate.
Yeah.
I recently was featured in Forbes, and I was my older brother wanted to post it, praise me, and I was like, block the cousins, make sure no one can see this, don't show it to mom. I try to keep it under wraps a little bit more, even though everyone knows.
Yeah, it's on the internet, man.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
But a magazine like Forbes or a publication like Forbes is kind of tough to hide. But
exactly.
I think we appreciate and understand, and like the challenges that come with it, man. So I really appreciate you sharing that story, man.
Yeah.
All right, so before we dive into the next segment, man, would love to hit the last cocktail here, man, for cocktail hour, man. So what do we got?
This here is essentially our Manhattan. So we have a cocktail called the Baccarat Old Fashioned, and that's using our own private cask of Maker's Mark.
Okay.
It's something we do a stave selection to finish the Maker's Mark with, and so with that private cask, we also have a private cask of Lafroig.
Yep.
And so I wanted to do a cocktail to kind of sit as its counterpart. So a little absinthe expression on the glass, cask strength of Lafroig 10-year, rye, and a little bit of Pedro Jimenez sherry to just kind of round it out. There's also an Alpine Amaro, or Alpine flavored Amaro from St. Agrestis in Brooklyn. So
Which is really good.
Yeah.
Very smooth too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
good, man.
This is definitely an example of me having to get over my own palate's bias, because I had outside of the collaborative side, I had the cocktail a lot punchier, and they were like, it was like, it tastes like you're taking a shot. So
like, let's dial it back just a little bit.
We tweaked it a little bit.
It's really good though.
Going a little bit more Pedro Jimenez just to give it a little bit more of a balance. You don't lose the essence and the flavor there. You just fine tune it just to have the Pedro Jimenez sherry kind of cut.
Love it, man.
With the alcohol.
It's good. All right, so with our interview series at Cocktail Hour, we like to introduce what we call a speed round. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, ranging from favorite bars, wines, stuff like that, man. Anything in between. You up for it?
I'm up for it.
Okay, so outside of the Baccarat, obviously, what's your favorite bar to hit in New York City?
My favorite bar, that's a tough one. I always love to bother my old friends at Love Madison Park.
Okay.
Sit at the bar, show up. Dear Irving.
Okay.
Also one of my favorite spots, and if I can catch it, Martinis.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah. How about favorite bar for date night?
And I would have to go back to Dear Irving.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right.
It's such a cool vibe in there. I usually order a Gibson when I go there, so not the best date drink. But definitely
make it work.
Exactly. Definitely one of my favorite places. You have the couches there, and
that's right.
The beaded.
Yep. The decor.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get that. Okay, and how about if you got a couple of guys in town, or some of your friends in town, where are you taking them in terms of bars?
Super Bueno, if I can make it happen. I've tried most of their cocktails, but I've only ever ordered the vodka soda there.
Okay.
And that cocktail is addicting.
Yeah. Super Bueno has been on a few lists. Folks have definitely recommended Super Bueno, man.
Exactly.
That's good, man. Favorite wine? We'll start with that.
Favorite wine, I default to champagne.
Okay.
There's champagne for everything, whether it is a celebration or a steak, or a celebration with a steak. I would say one thing I almost always have on hand, especially for friends, is Frederick Savart, the Overture.
Okay.
And so it's 100% Pinot Noir champagne. It has enough texture, but it's also light and fresh enough to kind of appeal to both sides. But that champagne it's something special.
Got it, man. So, gin, vodka, rum. Do you have a preference?
Gin it's definitely been a fun exploration.
Yeah.
For me, seeing where it's like you have gin at its core, but then you see like the variations and just like the small tweaks that like you taste it, it's gin, but it's not gin that's tasting like gin's supposed to taste.
Yeah.
It has a little bit more character to it, and so those are Those are
Cool,
ones
man.
that I'm-
I love it, man. You know, for final words for the audience, what are some of the reasons why folks should come here to the Baccarat Hotel bar and you know, grab a drink from you?
Yeah, I mean, the glasses are sexy. The space is beautiful.
There we go.
We really like to showcase what we have. We have a lot of toys to play with. We have a very large and extensive bar program, whether it's tequila, whiskeys. Definitely, there's something for you. The only difference is that you're going to get it in some of the most beautiful glassware.
That's right. Yeah.
Around.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that means a lot too, man. Well, say, absolute pleasure, man.
Thank you so
again
much.
for taking the time.
Of course.